Yo, what's up, everybody? Look, I wanted to jump on real quick while I had a second and make a quick video for you all going over some of the changes that I just made in my crypto portfolio. Now, I know the setting is a bit weird. I am out of town for a couple days, but I'll be back soon. And also, again, I apologize for the voice. I'm still dealing with a vocal cord infection, so my voice is a little bit off, but I'm just trying to get the content out for you guys one way or another. But through all of that, we're here. And again, I wanted to just shoot you a quick update going over some of the changes that I just made in my portfolio as a result of what the market is doing. So, to get straight into it and to give you a little bit of context, as many of you know, this week we saw FOMC, right? Which was obviously the Fed coming out. They cut interest rates by 25 basis points. They kind of gave a little bit of a boost to the market. We saw Bitcoin run up to 117. We saw some pretty decent gains, I would say, for a couple of days there, right? Now, leading into the FOMC meeting, I told you, I said, listen, I'm going to do the dead opposite of whatever this market does. So if the FOMC meeting causes crypto to pump, I'm going to take profit. And if the FOMC causes crypto to dump, I'm going to buy like crazy. And I told you it's called contrarian trading. And in a week like this, where there's a lot of emotions flowing and people are excited and scared and nervous and anxious and all of these things, one of the best things you can do is contrarian trade, which is just go against the crowd. Because normally on an emotional week, the market will swing very harshly in opposite directions. So if it's up, it'll go down. If it's down, it'll go up. And so I told you again earlier this week, listen, this is my strategy. This is my plan. And I actually ended up executing on that plan. And so the whole point of today's video is more to just kind of show you like, hey, this is what we spoke about. This is what I did. And this is how it's playing out, just so you can get a bit of an idea of how I move in these markets. And you can kind of take some little pieces and elements of my strategy and maybe apply it to your game. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the charts and you know what? We're actually just going to go over to Discord. Okay. We're going to go over to Discord and I'm going to show you guys kind of what my moves were and why I did them. Now, to give you a bit of an overlay, a kind of overview of the scene, my game plan was this. Going into this week, I said my take profit plan is that I'm going to set specific buy levels and sell levels for Bitcoin, Solana, XRP, and Ethereum. So I'll have very specific levels where I'll buy, very specific levels where I'll sell. And that's gonna be how I move, right? So if Bitcoin pumps, I have specific levels I'm gonna sell at. If Bitcoin dumps, I have specific levels I'm gonna buy at. And I'm gonna do that for Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, and ETH. And then I told you any of my smaller bags that are in my portfolio, I'm just going to look at their 4-hour RSI. And I told you if the 4-hour RSI goes above 70, I'm going to sell some of it, not all of it, but some of it. And if the 4-hour RSI goes below 30, I'm going to buy, not a ton, but enough, right? And that was my plan. And I started to implement on that strategy. So what we're going to do is we're going to first just go up to the Discord and we're just going to see the first move that we made here. Okay. So I just want to show you like these moves that we made. So after the FOMC meeting, we saw BNB just absolutely sending. My BNB bag was up about 231%, which comes out to roughly around $22,600 or so roughly. I did go in and I did take profit by closing down 7.5% of my BNB bag, which was roughly $2,500 worth of profit out of BNB. And if we go look at the BNB chart, you can see why I made that move. Let's go in, and I think I actually got the old one. There we go. So what you can see is that if we look at BNB, this was the third time on the 4-hour RSI just in the last couple of days that BNB's 4-hour RSI got to that overbought region. It was well above 70. I mean, we're talking about this bad boy was topping out at like 82. And so because of that, I was like, listen, like this is getting sketchy. It's going to be hard for BNB to keep this juice up, especially right below $1,000. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a little bit of profit off the table. So I closed down 7.5% of my bag for, again, about $2,500 worth of profit. And you can see my overall allocation, BNB is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my 6th biggest bag just because the gains were so good. But yeah, so I did go ahead and do that. Now, a little while later, which was yesterday around 4:20 in the morning, I couldn't sleep because my throat was hurting really bad. SWI just started absolutely pumping. So what we can do is we can go look at SWI. I think it's up here. Yeah. And what you can see is that SWI absolutely just took off. That bad boy pumped all the way up to the golden Fibonacci zone, right under $4. And obviously, this is a massive zone of resistance. Now, I told you, if SWI's 4-hour RSI goes over 70, I'm going to take profit. And look, it went right to 71. So what did we do? We went in, we took some profit off the table. I was up about 198%, which is about 109, or it's not 197, sorry, $19.7 thousand worth of profit that we were in. And as we did it slowly into a 200% profit margin area, we did see SWI's price officially get into the overbought zone, in which I did total, I pulled 1.5% of my total bag of SWI here, and then 3.5% of my total bag of SWI here. So I closed down 5% of my total SWI bag as its price did push right up into that $3.90 to $3.95 level. And the cool part about it is that after taking profit up here, SWI's price is now back down from top to bottom, 7 to 10%. So it was a very well-timed thing. And this kind of goes to show you using the 4-hour RSI as a kind of a gauger of when you should maybe take a little bit of profit. It does usually work really well because when you get to that 70 level or above on the 4-hour RSI, it's hard for these cryptos to keep running. I mean, look what happened right here. As soon as SWE got it this time, immediately pulled back. It got close to it this time, immediately saw this big pullback, right? And so you can kind of see that we were able to lock in some really juicy gains here on SWE right before this big pullback did happen. Now, if we keep the ball rolling, we'll go through a few more. Bitcoin. So the next day, or sorry, about 8 hours later, maybe, Bitcoin's price hit our very first take profit level, which was right at $117.6 thousand. And I told you, listen, hey, 117, this golden zone, it's going to be hard for Bitcoin to break through it. We know that's a big zone of resistance. So I'm going to take a little bit of profit off the table. So I went in, I took a little bit of profit off the table, only 0.5% of my bag, which was in a profit of 257%. And what's cool about that is that if we go look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin got rejected immediately off that exact level of resistance and immediately pulled back all the way to that $115,000 level. So that was obviously some decently timed take profits there. And then the next move that we made was on Ethereum, in which it was about $40 shy of my take profit zone at $4,686. But I was like, I felt a little bit weird. Like I was like, the whole market's starting to slow down. I'm going to take a bit of profit off the table. So I closed down 1% of my entire Ethereum bag, which was in a profit of 218%. We closed that down roughly at $4,610. And if we go look at Ethereum, that is the level in which ETH's price did get rejected off of, then falling from that point forward down, back to around $4,455, which is a pullback of about 5%. So all of the taking profit that we did and the strategy that we put in place this week worked out. We were able to lock in profit on BNB, which when it was up over 20 grand, we were able to lock in profit on SWE when it was up over 20 or nearly 20 grand, on Bitcoin, on Ethereum. And this just goes to show the strength in contrarian trading in a market like this. Because remember, we didn't know for sure that these levels were going to cause pullbacks. We didn't know for sure that these were going to be local tops. But what we had 100% certainty in was that this market is very manipulated, and contrarian trading in a week like this is one of the best things that you can do. And what I will actually let you guys know is I still think contrarian trading for the next week or two is probably a good idea, because I don't think these swings have been big enough to liquidate enough people. I actually think going forward, we're going to see more liquidations. We're going to see the market going in opposite directions even more. And it wouldn't shock me if we do see this market really start to give us like those big upswings and downswings. And so just to kind of build on top of it, not only did we do a very good job at locking in, I think maybe like 10 grand worth of profit or something like that in these little swings and that pump that we had, but now going forward, my game plan is to continue the move. So I'm not changing strategy at all. I'm going to just stick to the plan. I still have those buy levels for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP, which I've showed you guys multiple times in the last couple videos. Then I still have my take profit levels and my buy levels. I'm going to keep those, and I'm going to keep my similar strategy. If any of my smaller bags go above the 70 level on the 4-hour RSI, I'm going to take profit. If they fall below the 30 level on the RSI on the 4-hour charts, I'm going to buy some. And I'm just going to keep doing that because I think it's still going to be applicable for the next few weeks, maybe like 1 or 2 weeks or so. So I am going to keep that going, okay? This pullback that we are seeing right now, and sorry, my voice is starting to give out now, but this pullback we're seeing right now, I'm not super concerned about it, but I definitely am watching it, especially if we do start losing structure. So like, for example, if Bitcoin does really start to come down throughout the weekend and lose support and start creating local lows, it definitely could imply that some sort of bigger correction to the downside is on the way, not only just for Bitcoin, but for the rest of the market. So I'll keep an eye on it, but we're not in it enough. Like, we're not deep enough in this pullback for me to know if that's for sure. But one way or another, it doesn't matter to me, especially now, right? The market rallied, we took some profit off the table. So what's great is all those ones that we took profit on, now we have cash to play with, and I can reinvest that cash back into my positions if the market pulls back. And that's the sort of opportunity that contrarian trading gives you. Because if the market pumps and everyone buys into it, but you take profits, when it dumps and the lizard people manipulate it, now you have cash to play with, you can throw it back in, right? And that's the game that I like to play. So I don't make this video to show off. I don't really care. Like, it's not, you guys know me, you know that's not kind of my prerogative. I couldn't care less about that. But it's more to show you that when you can put a plan in place and a strategy in place before these big events happen, you can have a clear head. You can look at this thing from a very objective perspective and say, okay, the market's pumping. I'm not going to buy into the hype. I'm taking some profits. And now you obviously can play the game because the pullback happens. You got some cash to play with. Okay. So I just wanted to show you that it was a great week. Honestly, a lot of people are still where they were. So a lot of people have, their bags are the same size right now as they were a couple days ago before the FOMC little mini pump. But we got to lock in profit. So now we got the same similar size bag and we got some cash, right? And that feels very good. And so I'll keep you guys updated. But again, I did want to let you know I did sell some of my cryptos off, a little bit of BNB, a little bit of SWI, a little bit of ETH, a little bit of Bitcoin, because those are the only ones that were able to hit our buy targets or our 4-hour RSI zones that we're looking for. And I'll update you as it continues to play out. As you guys know, I do post everything that I do over in the Discord, which is linked to the school, the crypto school. It is linked down below. I will let you know the price of that is going up next week or the week after that. So check that out if you're interested. And also, I give updates every single day over on my Instagram, which is also linked down below. It's the Life of Tyler Hill. It is one of the first links down there. If you get to my page, you're going to see some personal stuff about me, but then you can click the analysis tab and you can see all of these really cool little reels and stuff. Okay. So feel free to check those out. Again, I did want to shoot you a quick update. My voice is starting to hurt, guys. So I'm going to give it some rest, and hopefully within like a week or two, I'll be back to normal. I'm trying to rest the voice, but I'm a content creator, man. I love making content. So I just got to kind of stuff it out. But overall, I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you guys do like this sort of video. I haven't made a video like this in like maybe a year or two, just kind of showing like what I just did like that. Let me know if you like it. Happy to do more. And yeah, I hope you guys have a really good Friday. I'll see you all later. Bye, everyone.